Hey everyone, and welcome to another live session here at Silverstack Type Foundry and the Type Convo podcast. I am really happy to be joined by a guy today who is actually redefined typography and redefined how we use and create fonts. You maybe don't know him by his name, but you've seen his work and you have used his fonts, that's for sure. And it's a true pleasure to join a designer whose fonts have been used by Netflix, Spotify, FIFA World Cup, world superstars like Katy Perry. And he was always an inspiration and he always pushed my work further. So I'm really glad he will be joining me today. So let's see. And let's give it a big round of applause for one and only Sam Parrett from Set Sail Studios. Okay, so tell me a bit, how did you start it out? How the Set Sail Studios started? If I remember, you have been making fonts since 2014, being a graphic designer even before that. So tell me more about it.
I think I might have fixed my microphone. Can you hear me now?
It works now perfectly, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. It's not going to work if we can't hear each other.
Nice. All good.
We had to get that done. Oh, great. Okay. My connection here isn't great. I was a bit worried about that.
No worries.
I'm glad it's all good. But yeah, firstly, let me just say thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you. I'm a big fan of your work as well. And you've always been so supportive of my work and just a really just a positive voice in the community. So it's really cool to finally chat with you face to face.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. Do you want me to tell you how Set Sail Studios got started?
Yeah. How did you start it out?
Okay. Yeah. So if I go way back, Set Sail Studios started after my design journey started after I graduated from university, which was a degree in psychology. I kind of realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. But I kind of saw it through to the end, drifted between jobs. And I was playing guitar in a band at the time. And, so I was designing, graphic design was like a hobby of mine. So I designed our, merchandise and logo and things like that. MySpace page, going back in the day.
Companies in time.
Yeah, that's how I learned to code. So all of a sudden, other bands were asking me for design work and it kind of just snowballed to the point where I was like, this is my job now. It just kind of landed at my feet. But it was great. I loved it. Working on all these really fun, creative projects in the music industry. And, after a few years, I, started Set Sail Studios as an all-encompassing creative agency, really, with a photographer friend of mine. That was in 2011. We worked on some great projects. And I worked on a lot of logo projects that kind of became my, what I was kind of best known for really was the logo work. And, I got to a point where I'd kind of exhausted all my font options at the time. There were a lot less fonts out there, even, 2010, 2011. So I started experimenting with handwritten logos, which I love making. There's just no limits on a piece of paper just to kind of draw what I wanted. And, it was one particular project where I was working on a band logo for a band with a really long name. And, I hand drawn this really cool logo and I loved it. Sadly, the band, it wasn't the direction that they wanted to go in, which was fine. But then I had all these handwritten letters just kind of gathering dust on my hard drive. And then I had that light bulb moment of, I could make a font with this, it's like nothing I've seen out there. Didn't think I'd become a font designer. I just thought it'd be something fun to do. And, put on my website and maybe make a small amount of money. Which would just be a bonus. Anything would be a bonus than it just doing nothing, And I showed it to one of my friends who asked me if I was going to put it on Creative Market. And I had no idea what creative market was. I'd never used a design marketplace in my life. So it was really like, just amazing, eye-opening. Like, wow, people can actually do this and just sell their own products and make a living from it. And I just found that just really alluring and exciting. So instantly set up my shop on there, sold that first font, which sold really well. And then kind of had this flood of ideas then like, all these, like, I just saw this gap in the market of all these fonts that I could make and just never really wanted to stop. I had too many ideas and not enough time. And so my first few fonts on there were quite successful. And, luckily after like a year of doing that, I was able to drop, all my freelance work because it was making enough money on its own to just continue on its own. And, I've just been doing that ever since and haven't stopped. Yeah.
No, that's great. So, do you even do like client work at all now, or is just fun?
I don't really do any client work now. So I've done a few commissioned font projects over the last few years. But it's something that I don't really do anymore. And I don't do anything outside of font design. Definitely not.
I mean, it's really great for other people out there to actually see that it's possible to do like the thing you like without having too much like client work, too many emails, and just like from selling things and digital goods. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the dream. It was just to, client work can be really good, but it can also be quite restrictive and difficult and timelines and just to be free of all of that and to work on my own briefs. That was just amazing and so freeing. And the fact that I could make a living off that as well was like, it was just a no-brainer.
Yeah. No, I do totally. Like, I've been also in the logo and branding design, even website design like before, but when I started with creative marketing 2018, like a couple of years later than you. And then it was like, oh my God, this really works. I can do my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really is. I love working with people, but sometimes client work can actually be really demanding and really stressful. But the fun design is like completely different world. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah. It's nice to speak to someone that can relate. So
yeah, definitely true. So, the font you mentioned for the logo, the band, is that the first font you created?
Yeah, that was the first one I made. It was called Sycamore.
Okay.
It's quite an aggressive font because the band I was in was a metal band. So we had some quite heavy music. So a lot of my earlier work was quite aggressive and heavy, but that font actually got used by WWE for their like show a couple of years later. Yeah. So it was just great to see how that font just went from nothing on my hard drive to WWE, which was just like, I used to watch that as a teenager growing up, and that was pretty mind blowing.
No, that's super crazy. How would you compare that first font with the work you do now?
Like I said, it was very kind of aggressive, but I still like to do now and then, just try different styles, but it's different in the fact that it's, I suppose, quite amateurish. Like the way I designed it was just very quick. Let's just figure out how to make a font. And I think the first version just didn't have any numbers or punctuation or anything. It was just A to Z, capital letters. Whereas now it's much more refined, and I try to include a much bigger character set and try and have more kind of selling points. Whereas this was just very basic. It's just A to Z. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the starting. Yeah.
Oh, and the images as well. I only did like 3 promotional images. Whereas now I'll spend weeks and weeks. Yeah. Developing the promotional stuff.
Yeah. Well, how do you actually approach marketing nowadays? Like, your fonts definitely stand out, like, from the competition, and there's I mean, for me, your work is like handwritten fonts, and that's what I recognize. I mean, you do amazing work on the serif and some serif fonts as well, but hand-drawn fonts are something that I like connect with your name. How do you do the marketing when you already stand out so much?
Yeah, I don't really do much marketing, and I don't particularly enjoy it, if I'm completely honest. I think just the way my business especially is set up to sell these fonts on the marketplaces, really the best thing I can do and the best marketing that I can do is just to make the best fonts that I can make, I think. And that's what makes them stand out. And that's what generates sales, which snowballs into people talking about it and sharing it and things. So, I don't want to just put out a font and have to shout about it and market it constantly, because that's not really what I like doing. I just like making fonts. And I'm my own boss. That's the beauty of being self-employed, is just you can make those kind of decisions. But, saying that, I do have my own website, setsailstudios.com, and I do have to kind of try to push sales towards that website. So I do post on, social media, Behance, and I have quite a big newsletter following, which is great to kind of connect with everyone.
Yeah.
I dabbled in adverts and Google ads and things, but it just wasn't for me. And I was just spending more time looking at what was working with the adverts than I'd rather just make a new font,
Well, that's enough of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. What inspires you? Like, where the inspiration for all the different, whenever I try to make a hand-drawn font, I always draw each letter is the same as before, where do you find inspiration to make so many different handwritten fonts?
I mean, anywhere. I know it's the easy answer, but it is from anywhere, because fonts are, and handwriting and lettering is everywhere. So anywhere I'm out, I'll have my phone. If I see something I like, I have a folder on my phone, take a picture, and it's just kind of inspiration. But, a lot of my inspiration does come from that background in the music industry. And I think I've realized a lot of my inspiration actually came from the gaming industry as well, because those were two big parts of my life growing up, and two really creative industries where there's just some of the best, most expressive artwork that I've seen. And, so those are big influences of mine, but yeah, it's hard to define exactly where inspiration comes from.
I mean, I understand it. Yeah. Whatever you see outside, there's a piece of inspiration always there. Tell me, I've spoken with a lot of other type designers, and somehow each of us has a different process, when working with fonts. What's your story? How does it go from the start to beginning? How much time does it take? How much of your effort is involved in all of it, and testing and everything? How does it work for you?
Yeah, it varies a lot, obviously, depending on the type of font that I make. So I would say the majority of mine, like you said, are handwritten fonts. So that really does mean handwritten with pen or paintbrushes on paper, drawing out each letter one by one, scanning it in, and then vectorizing it. Coding it in the font software. So those handwritten, if I'm just making a handwritten font with one style, I can, kind of get that process done from start to finish, usually in 3 to 4 weeks. But more recently, I've kind of been delving into the world of sans fonts and serif fonts and more kind of functional fonts, which are just designed solely on the computer. And I actually design them in Adobe Illustrator, which is my dark secret that I shouldn't tell any font designers, because they tell me off for not making it in the font software, and they're probably right. But with my background in graphic design, I was just so familiar with Illustrator, and there's a plugin that I use called VectorScribe, which is really, really handy. And, it's just a process that works for me and the one that I'm really comfortable with. So yeah, I design my letters in Illustrator and then paste them into FontLab Studio and then kind of finalize it in FontLab Studio. And, yeah, so I'm currently working on my first like expansive font family. So it's like, I think it has 12 styles, which never appealed to me before. And I'm kind of starting to remember why. Now I'm halfway through it. How long
Well,
yeah, but I think it's probably going to be, well, it's actually an expansion of a font that I've already made. So I think in total, it's got to be 3 or 4 months working on this already. So, it can vary so much depending on what I make.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I will not mention Illustrator to anyone, but you're not the only one. So no worries about it, you know?
Yeah.
I started with Illustrator because of all the background and graphic design and everything. You are just more familiar than the glyphs, for example. So I understand it totally. Like, and even font style.
If it works,
then
it doesn't really matter.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, so that's for me the same. You mentioned like WWE, like with some of your fonts, and I was on your website and there was like, how do I even make this list of his huge clients and the people who use his fonts like shorter? Who do I name like from Spotify, Netflix, FIFA World Cup? That was amazing. I made them like last year during Christmas time, I think. I saw some of your fonts in Madrid in the center. I sent you the images. That was like, my God, this guy is like everywhere. So how do you deal with the thing, you know?
I apologize being in your conscience all the time. I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's not really, the thing is that it's weird because so many people see these fonts, but nobody knows that it's me, which is actually probably ideal.
True.
I can just kind of, just see it and admire it for what it is. But, it's really hard to put into words. It's just completely surreal, and amazing that it's just this idea that I had in my head, you know, like on a walk or in the shower is now in front of millions of people. And it's so hard to comprehend. It's so hard to comprehend, but it's really just so rewarding to see that from an idea to finish to so many people seeing it is just a really rewarding job in that sense. And, what a time to be alive. I just feel really lucky to be alive at this time. Yeah. I can do something like that. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I mentioned like this, when you mentioned MySpace, it was like a really good time, but now we have different things and, AI is coming and it's already here. What's your stance? What do you think about it? Do you use it? How does it work for you?
I don't use it in font creation. So, I've used it a little bit in, generating some of the imagery for mock-ups and things. And I've actually used it to help name a couple of the recent fonts. It's good. So it's good for like generating ideas in that sense, but I would never just kind of, use AI to just completely copy something. But yeah, in terms of, AI coming to the font industry, it's quite a hot topic, isn't it? And I recently went to, a convention, hosted by Monotype and a lot of the focus was on AI, which was quite like concerning to a lot of the font designers. But they kind of, assured us that it was like human centered. So basically they're investing a lot of money into it and it is coming. And I think what they want to try and do is allow font designers to, you know, have some creative input. So you would design the A to Z letter set, but then you would use the AI to help you, assist you, you know, generate punctuation or additional styles based on what you input into the AI. So I think it could be, I'm trying to stay positive, but that could be quite a helpful tool for font designers. And what I would worry about is any old person to just type in, generate me a Sam Parrett font, and it just outputs some handwritten thing, But yeah, if we can kind of use it to our advantage in that way, where we still input the fundamentals of the font, and then it kind of helps us generate the rest of it. It could be a force for good. But
Yeah, I mean,
who knows? Your guess is as good as mine.
well, it's true. I mean, I have also never used it to make fonts. It's just something I kind of, if I'm creating it, it's my work in the end, But for some parts of font descriptions, titles, ideas, that's definitely where it helps. Even with social media, it definitely helps when you are kind of an introvert that doesn't have a sense, to write stuff, but then it gives a good idea. So yeah, that's on my side. It's quite similar.
Yeah.
I would ask, what challenges have you faced as a font designer that's not a big studio, like self-employed freelancer? What challenges were the biggest for you?
Just persevering, I think, especially like early on in my font career. You have to just push through. Because font design takes so long, doesn't it? This is the thing. And you can be weeks into a font and then you suddenly start questioning, is this even going to sell? Am I doing the right thing? But you've got to push through that and just remember that the next font might be successful if this one isn't. So yeah, it really is just persevering and not giving up after maybe one failed font. I was quite lucky that my first font was really successful and my next few were successful. But since then, I've had unsuccessful fonts and, ones that have not even broken 10 sales. And I think if that had been my first font, I might have given up. So yeah, if you love it and you really have a passion for it, I'm giving advice here, but
just go on.
Okay. But yeah, it is just pushing through and, yeah, that's it really.
No, I definitely get that. I mean, I also had the luck when I published first couple of products on Create Market, it really did work well. And it gave me like, okay, this is good. But, if they were bad, as well as you said, I have fonts that have like 1 or 2 sales nowadays. And after maybe a year or two, so that's, when you see it, it's quite depressing, but then you have another font that has thousands of sales. So that's, you never know. It's with the industry and with everything. It's never, so definitely a perseverance and just doing the work is definitely great advice. What would you say is the most rewarding parts?
Well, seeing the fonts out there is obviously amazing. And, having all these big companies use the font is really cool. But I think the best part is when the freelancers and the small time designers actually, it really helps them in their work and speeds up their design process. And like I had a review once a few years ago, which really kind of changed my perspective on it. I was in a bit of a slump, like a creative slump, like nothing serious, but we all get it. We get those like creative blocks and questioning our own work. And I had this review on my script font, Medina script, and it said like, thank you so much for designing this font. I run an Etsy store and it wasn't really generating any sales, but I used Medina script, and all of a sudden, like I have my best selling product allowed me to quit my job and do this full time. And that was really really eye opening. And I'd never ever considered it like that before. Like I just thought, I'm just writing letters. Is it really making a big difference to anything? When you see, nurses and doctors and things like that, you do kind of wonder. But then that really opened my eyes and made me realize, this is actually really helping people. And that was amazing. That was definitely the most rewarding, review I ever got. So yeah, it was a big motivator for me.
Oh, that's amazing review,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was.
I have to say you have an amazing family. You don't post a lot of it online, but how do you keep the balance between personal and work life? How does it affect you? How does it affect your family, and how does it work for you?
It's tough. It is tough. I only really work when they're at school now, because when they're here, it's just about being fully focused on what I'm doing, and I don't try to really juggle the two anymore because I just end up getting frustrated and they get upset that I'm not giving them attention. So, yeah, I'm really lucky that I can kind of pick and choose my own hours. And that's why font design kind of works so great for me, that I can do it in those hours when they're at school or when they're asleep. And yeah, it's amazing. But I think it's also learning to say no. Like I said earlier, I used to take on a lot of, client project, not a lot, but I took on a few commissioned font jobs as well. But then you have deadlines and things, and you start getting stressed, and then I have to, cancel plans with family and stuff. And that's kind of why I made a decision a year or two ago just to not do any more commission work, because it's like I said, when you're your own boss, you can try and control those things, and spending time with my family, because I've got 2 young kids, that is the most important thing for me. And that's the reason why I do this job, is so I can spend time with them and provide for them. And so they'll always come first. And, yeah, it's a constant kind of balance and struggle between the two. But I think I'm learning to switch off from one and switch on to the other instead of trying to balance the two together.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where's the cat, by the way? I believe everyone expected to see the cat, like.
Yeah. Oh, don't mention the cat. We're having trouble with the cat.
Oh.
He came with the house. We didn't actually agree to have a cat. The owners of our new house, Australia, and they tried to rehome him to another house, which is like 100 meters up the road. So of course he's just going to come straight back here.
Of course.
Yeah, so we agreed to have him, but then he's just not really a very nice cat. I'm so sorry to all the cat lovers out there. I do love cats, and I've had cats before, and they've been amazing. But this one just kind of likes biting my children a lot and destroying my furniture. And yeah, luckily we've got like a part of the kitchen that's kind of separated from the rest of the house, which is, he's got his bed in, it's nice and warm, he's got his food, so he's kind of, and we've got a nice big garden that he runs around in.
Oh,
so he's happy for now. But I don't know if he'll be in my office that much. He's just kind of a wild cat. I don't know if he was maybe a stray or something before they had him, but yeah, he's a crazy one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's for us, but yeah.
I had this really nice vision of him like sat on my lap while I was working, and this really like
yeah.
It just didn't quite work out like that.
Okay. I have 2 more questions. You've made so many fun so far. Is there a project or a typeface that you actually always wanted to do but didn't have time, or just didn't have the right idea, or maybe the right moment didn't come?
I don't think so. No, I think every font that you will see in my portfolio is something that I have dreamed up and had the idea for. And if I have an idea that excites me, I have to just make it straight away, much to the annoyance of like my wife, probably. I'll be in the middle of I'll be a few months deep into a font, and I'll just say oh no, it's happened again. And she's like, have you had another idea for another font? And I'm like, yeah. So I have to get out of my head ASAP. I'm kind of learning to as quickly, but yeah, I've never had an idea and not done it, because what's the point, And there's a guy on Instagram you might be aware of, CJ Corley, and he did a really good post recently, which was what's the cost of not doing it? And it's kind of like, what have you got to lose? So if you have a really cool idea, there's no point in sitting on it. Get it out there to the world. And I know it can be difficult when you're putting a part of yourself out there and for everyone to judge. But if one person loves it, then it's a success, I think.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Yeah. And the last one, it's definitely I'm asking for advice, but if not for me, but for everyone else, and me included as well. If there's just one thing you could tell other people about life, about work, one advice to offer, what would it be?
Wow. You've put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I just do what makes you happy, I think, isn't it? For me, it's just all about finding that happiness. And if you set up a project and you're not happy, then, find something that does make you happy. And then you're onto a winner then.
That's an amazing one.
Sorry, it's basic. It's a bit cliche, but it's true,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean, thank you. It was a real pleasure to talk to you today, and we could go on and on and on. And definitely, we also have a partner waiting for us, kids coming from school probably very soon. So I will not keep for hours. So thank you for joining me. It was a real pleasure, to have you and to talk to you finally. And you spilled some good secrets. I believe there's a lot more to uncover. So I hope we'll chat again.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And we can do it another time if there's more topics you want to cover.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I'm definitely up for it. Yeah, next week I'm having a chat with, kind of a neighbor of yours with Elliot J. Stocks.
Yeah.
He should have been 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately his dog died and I just didn't want to push it, and we just decided to move it to another moment. So that's happening next week, but I'll definitely be more than happy to have you again.
Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you again soon.
Definitely talking to you soon. And thank you to you guys for all the questions, all the comments, and see you all. Bye.